Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. Today we're looking at Uncanny X-Men Annual 9 by Chris Claremont with some amazing art by Steve Leialoha. I love this book when it first came out. I cannot wait to show it to you. So please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button and let's get right into it. I love this cover so much. First of all, it's the White Queen. I love the White Queen when she was still a villain. I see no sense in making all the villains like good or team members. I was having a discussion with my friend Philip recently, and she's just really done some unforgivable things. So I just find it hard to believe that the X-Men would accept her and that Cyclops would really even date her after all the horror she did. I mean, look, she's turning Lockheed into ice or crystal here on the cover. That can't be good. Um, it's funny that this is happening. It makes you wonder, like, about her secondary mutation of the diamond stuff. It sort of evokes that. This is a cool cover. Obviously, we're seeing different kind of versions of the X-Men happening, which I feel like Chris Claremont did such a great job with the X-Men annuals because they were usually self-contained stories and just like sky's the limit, kind of just fun things. Like it's the X-Men telling different tales. Steve Leialoha's art, I love it. I feel like New Mutants, after Bill Sienkiewicz left, was the first time I experienced his art as penciler and inker. He inked a few things, like I think it was issue 189 of the Uncanny X-Men, where he inked John Romita Jr. And like that combination blew me away. I just love it. There's just something about it. It's slightly quirky. It's like juicy black and really slick. But then he's got a lot of this like fine line going on. And I love the color holds of like the images. Like this is such a beautiful like page. There's such a nice flow to Wolverine's gesture. And I think that that's one of the problems I see with a lot of modern art, especially currently on DC and Marvel. Granted, there are a lot of great comic book artists, but I feel a lot of it is stagnant, like a lot of the art. And I'm guessing maybe it's tracing or using photo reference or something, but a lot of the art looks really stagnant. And I feel like some of the best comic book art is where they're making the characters actually act and there's like a sense of drama, because no matter how good the coloring is, it's still two-dimensional, right? So you sort of had to add that sense of excitement. I mean, like, how cool is this? I love this great utilization of a double page spread, because it's not a complete double page spread, but it does, spread out over 2 pages. Sorry. But then there's other panels, and it's just great storytelling. I mean, you have the characters looking at Wolverine as he's dramatically telling this campfire story. I love Lockheed curled up on the log behind him. The New Mutants, that's a decent looking Warlock. I feel like not every artist can pull off Warlock well, and I'm okay with this version here. So you have the characters looking this way, guiding your eye across the page. Wolverine is sort of the anchor. Then you have the characters here looking at him, which gives us our storytelling rule of creating a Z formation to guide the reader's eye across the page. So this brings you this way, their gaze brings you back down to this corner over here. And that is fun. I love the lighting on his face right here. And then he's telling the scary story, and then Aurora comes in with some firewood and scares the crap out of everybody because she snaps a twig. And this is also like not long after she lost her powers to Forge, shooting her with the gun that was stripped her of her powers that was meant for Rogue. Oops, I missed. That reminds me of one of my favorite jokes, by the way, that I won't tell right now. I love the big spike on her armband. It's funny because Mohawk Storm started out as a joke, like they weren't going to do it, and they did it, and it's probably like one of the best character revamps ever. It just, because it wasn't just gratuitous, like it made sense, like, with her inner turmoil, she was feeling less in touch with nature and things like that, so it was kind of a rebellion. And it's just, that was like the gift of having Chris Claremont write all the X books for years. It's like he created such realness in the characters, such depth, that you actually cared about their struggle and what they were going through, and you knew exactly what was going on. Because there weren't like 9 million books. I mean, it did turn into like New Mutants and Wolverine and like some miniseries and stuff, but it was all being guided by Claremont and just like, I don't know, just amazing. So here's Ileana telling her Lockheed, the space dragon, and his pet girl Kitty. I love that angle. It's funny. I feel like this was a good route to go after Bill Sienkiewicz left, just because it's fun and kind of scratchy, but also very cartoony in a lot of ways. If you look back at like a lot of Steve Leialoha's Spider-Woman art, like I loved his Spider-Woman. It's so good. I remember, it's funny, and I feel like I had this conversation too with my friend Philip while we were talking about the White Queen. I always wanted her hair to be blonde and not like with the blue highlights, but I'm kind of okay with it now. It looks cool. I love when Chris Claremont does like alternative versions of the X-Men. It seems to be more meaningful from him because he has such a good grasp of who the characters really are. So to sort of remix them or revamp them or in a different way. Kitty's parents, hilarious. Fun trivia. Kitty's mom was based on legendary ex-editor and writer Joe Duffy, Mary Jo Duffy, who's very prolific and a very awesome person, and will be forever immortalized as Mama Pride. There are worse things in life, right? I remember getting this and just like being so blown away. I feel like it was summer. I feel like I was living in Las Vegas at the time and just, I know. See, comic books are sort of like music in a way. You know how like certain songs like bring you back to a certain place in time. Like Naked Eye by Luscious Jackson will always make me think of Miami. That was my jam when I visited my friend Andrew in Miami. So I'll always associate it with that. And I don't know, reading comics sort of brings you back to the era or the age you were when you read them and just really captures sort of the wonder that comic books give you. I mean, and talk about giving you stuff. This is the gift that keeps on giving. Like every page is like a visual feast. I just love it. That is a really handsome Peter. I love that. That is so cool. Very romantic. Great use of negative space there. The way he's spotting his blacks. Steve Leialoha is just amazing. I love his art. Clearly underrated. I mean, I know he has fans and respect, but I just feel like he deserves way more props. I mean, how fun is this? I mean, I think that's such a great way of creating an almost penciled look, but in finished inks at the same time. Just like the stuff he's doing on her nose. Like, I think that must have been revolutionary for me as like an aspiring artist, just to be able to see like the different things you can do with like the feathering and the hatching and the shading. I love it. And here's Storm down and out, drinking in a bar when Kitty comes to recruit her. And I don't know that we ever see the full version of this costume, but from the boots, man, I do want to see all of it. And I definitely must have ripped that off because I love these yellow glasses. Like, I think this is such a cool look for Storm. And look, Kitty, are you turning into crystal or diamonds? I always love this house ad for the subscription John Byrne Alpha Flight, holding the Marina and Aurora with little Puck at his side. Man, this is when X-Men annuals were just so killer. I love the rainbow here. Not just because it's gay pride. I love rainbows outside of that. Talk about appropriating something, huh? Ad for Secret Wars. This is so, like, dense with text. You would think that Chris Claremont wrote this. This is a lot. Like, I don't know if that would have sold me on the toys. The toys themselves sold me on the toys. See, isn't that cool? I just love those glasses. It's so like of that era. Very new wave, Storm. Very new wave. It's so fun. I love the X-Men that, like, they're mutants, but, you know, they're space adventures, and they're, what are they, what is that place? Limbo, which is basically hell. I mean, you can put the X-Men in any scenario and just go with it. Okay, that might be the closest we get to seeing the full costume. Very cool. Storm and Kitty have always been like two of my favorite X-Men. But I love Illyana, so I'm glad to see her there. And I love Colossus and Nightcrawler and Hell Wolverine. Like, who don't I love? Fun there. I'm guessing that Steve must have done that himself. Although Tom Orzechowski is the letterer on this, so who knows? Beautiful, so much fun. I'm so glad that I got to cover this. One of my favorite X-Men annuals. The X-Men annuals were like, from annual like 6 through 12 are like really good. And I love the credit box on the end of the page here. And Billy Idol, hysterical. Like that's what Kitty's fantasizing about. Interesting. So, Stan Lee presentation starring the Uncanny X-Men as chronicled by Chris Claremont writer, Steve Leialoha artist, Joe Duffy, speaking of witches, original idea. Not saying that she's a witch, by the way. I love her. Glynis Wayne, colorist. Tom Orzechowski, letterer. Ann Nesenti, editor. Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. Very happy about that credit box. That's like from the best era in comic books. 1984. Such a good year. Just ask George Orwell. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit like, share my content, and I'll bring you some more later.